New data reveals the United States continued to see a decline in annual opioid overdose deaths through the most of 2025. It comes after years of rising deaths since the 90s. Deaths had peaked around 111,000 in 2023 and then plummeted to around 80,000 in 2024. Joining us to discuss this is Baliyer, a senior fellow at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. He specializes in border security and immigration policy with over 2 decades of experience as a U.S. Border Patrol agent and U.S. Army officer. Amon, always great to have you on the show. It's quite remarkable and positive news that U.S. overdose deaths fell dramatically through the most of last year. What do you think contributed to this?
Yeah, great question. And again, thank you for having me. One, of course, the Trump administration is making fentanyl a top priority, making that drug coming from Mexico and other countries and the precursor chemicals from China as a number one threat, as a chemical weapon used on our population. So that's one of them. The next one is also the prolific amount of Naxalone or Narcan available throughout our communities and community programs that were counting this opioid addiction. You can see it also, like if you go to my son plays high school football, and you can actually see that kind of like what we grew up with, like the counter drug program that we grew up with when we were kids, the DARE program. We're starting to see billboards like that across the entire United States during high school football games, like I mentioned, on the billboards, talking about opioids, just publicly talking about it, the danger and the use of it. And so I think this is like a whole of community or whole of society approach that has gone, but it's because of the leadership right now of the Trump administration that has been attacking this issue. But if you notice, the numbers were also going down even at the later end of the year of the Biden administration as well.
So in terms of preventing illegal drugs entering the U.S., what evidence are you looking at that we have that shows less drugs are available on streets in the U.S.?
Yeah, great question. Unfortunately, really the only thing that we have is our southern border apprehension numbers. So we have kind of like a denominator that's missing. We actually don't know how much is coming across because we don't have 100% domain awareness on our southern border still. And now it's getting there. We're getting the technology in place so that we can have 100% domain awareness. But if you look at our northern border, it's vastly different than our southern border in terms of the amount of technology and infrastructure in order to understand what is or what is not coming across both sides, what's going north and what is coming south. So until we can actually figure out the actual denominator of what is actually coming in by creating the apparatus or the infrastructure to have 100% domain awareness, that's going to be difficult. Another issue is the amount of operations that have now moved into the interior of the U.S. Look, our focus has been seeing what President Sheinbaum is doing in Mexico, eradicating the fentanyl labs and doing this and doing that against the Mexican cartels. So our whole focus has been there in kind of tunnel vision. How many of those pill presses and how many of those labs are now inside the United States? How many are in Canada? And so we really don't know now what is actually on the streets today. We can a little bit if you talk to the DEA or if you talk to HIDTA, the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Association. If you talk to them, you realize that the price of cocaine on the streets has actually decreased, as well as crystal meth. So it's not just all drugs lumped into one sum that is actually decreasing. We may have a decrease in opioids, but we have seen a rise in cocaine and crystal meth.